What is up, Cabbage crew? It is Matt and John here, episode 10. Episode 10 is going to be our top 10 favorite locations to go on vacation in the Avatar world. Maybe there's a spoiler alert of what that might be. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But first, this weekend, there was many memories that our friend John had at Steel City Comicon. And a little story that he wanted to tell as well. So we're going to be talking about Steel City Comicon, and then we're going to get into our top 10 favorite locations for a vacation spot in the Avatar world. So John, how was your week and how was your weekend?
The week was pretty good overall,
Mm-hmm.
leading up to Steel City Con. Though the week prior,
Mm-hmm.
there was something that happened to a method of transportation of mine that is called a car. So
I was
if you're on the
thinking flying bison.
flying by, I could have used a flying bison in this situation. In if you're on the East Coast, you know that we've been getting tons of rain, especially around Pennsylvania, New York, DC. Like there's lots of rain, and it's April. But this has been the worst April that I've probably experienced in a long time. When you hear the phrase "April showers bring May flowers," that was just a nice little rhyme. This is coming true. I expect some blooming flowers in May, and if I don't get any blooming flowers, I'm gonna be mad because this rain caused my car to partially flood. I was
It was Jet. It was Jet.
It was Jet. He blew up the dam with blasting jelly. It was Jet. Forget the rain. Sorry, Mother Nature. But I go into work, not last Monday, but the previous Monday, and as I normally do, I park next to a baseball field, and then I take the bus into work. This baseball field is located next to a creek, and the parking lot is like it's close to the creek, but it's not right next to it by any means, but it is pretty close. So I do my normal thing. I drive in, and I noticed that the creek was borderline raging rapids. It was kind of high, but not overtly high. I knew it was going to be rainy-ish that day, but I didn't know how much. I didn't really think anything of it, so I just did my normal thing. Went to work, got back around 6:30, and I'm going through the baseball field for the shortcut to get to my car. And I'm going through like a swamp. Like I'm a swamp bender at this point. I'm going through this thing, trudging along, and I'm like, I don't want to like go on the sidewalk or the roundabout to, waste more time. But I was like, I'm already in this, so we're just gonna keep on trudging through. And I'm like, okay, I'm at my car, and then I see this truck with two workers clearing debris right behind my car. And I'm like, oh, this must have been like hit pretty bad. It's like I'm like a fallen tree, probably because of the wind. I don't know. But I noticed like there's like leaves, and I mean like a yard's worth of leaves under my car. And I'm like, what? And then I noticed two huge logs under my car. And my car is a 2008 Toyota Yaris. It is a clown car. There was like I said, there's just like a yard's worth of leaves. I don't know how much stuff could have fit underneath my car. So I go over and talk over to the two guys clearing debris, and he's like, dude, was this your car? And I was like, yeah. And I go, like, was this place like hit by something? He's like, yeah, like it got flooded all the way past towards the infield of the baseball field. And I'm like, huh? And he showed me, visual evidence and all that. And you can just see my car, like, as the water's like gushing, and just my car's just taking the blunt out of it. I'm just like, And so they give me this metal rod, two-edged hook rod, to help clear debris under my car, and the logs. I got the one log out, thankfully, and the other log was just stuck. It was stuck. I could not move it. It was like,
how big was this log?
This log was at least like, think of like regular timber. Like, think of that.
Okay.
Think of like bigger than your average, like, let's just say you had to chop this thing in to make it smaller. Let's just put it that way. And so I couldn't move it. And I was like, I'm not going to call AAA, and because like I'm a mile from home, because this parking spot's like a mile and a half from home. I'm like, I'm not gonna have AAA come out here whenever I'm a mile and a half from home. There's no way. So I'm like, I'm gonna drive real slow, try to loosen this log, just moving it forward like inches. And I do it, and thankfully it gets loose, and I take it out, and we're good. My engine's running, we're good, nothing. And so I drive home. It's my seats are pretty okay for the most part. The water got inside my car, it got into the floor, and it even got into the area where you put random stuff in underneath the radio. Like, you might put receipts or quarters or change, like that little area. Like, there was a puddle inside there. And like I said, my floors were wet. So when I got home, I spent like an hour and a half, 2 hours drying it out as best as I could with towels, with old shirts that I wouldn't be using. I even ran the washer and dryer once before doing it again. It was a whole day, a whole night, really. And then I just like, I was airing it out for days. And so the next day I drive to a closer or a further away facility, because it was like a rainy week, like it was all day rain. So I didn't want to do that again. And so on the next day after Wednesday, when the day after that, I didn't park it at my parking spot again. I went and parked at my parking spot again. And I went into work. I was like, I'm not going to walk that trek again to get to the bus stop. So I decided to go back to this parking spot, go into work, come back home from work, and a guy from the trucking plant right next to the baseball field like hauls me down. And he's like, hey, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And he's like, yeah, like
you're from Cabbage Crew. Right, I recognize you from Cabbage Crew.
I'm from the Cabbage Crew. I wish it was that. But yeah, so this guy tracked me down. He was like, yeah, I have pictures of your car during that the flood that we had. If you want it for insurance purposes. And I was like, sure, thanks. Send it over. And he was like, yeah, like I've worked here for 10 years and it hasn't flooded this bad. It's only flooded this bad like 4 times is what he said. And I'm like, oh wow. So like this is like kind of rare. And so had a good 5-minute good dialogue exchange, and we went on our merry way after he told me, oh yeah, there was a cop actually that day on the top of the bridge looking at your car, seeing if there was anybody inside, and the guy who I exchanged the car pictures with was like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about it, just some guy who parks his car down here and grabs the bus to work. So no one's inside here. Yeah, so it's been an interesting 2 weeks with trying to air out my car on the inside as much as possible to get the water out.
Wow. Well, I'm coming to Pittsburgh sometime, so we'll make sure whenever I get there, the seats aren't too wet.
No, they're gonna be fine. They're fine.
Well, Well, that was the bad news, but the good news is you were
Good
able
news.
to go to Steel City Comicon
Yes.
and see a couple different actors from a couple different shows and series, but mainly the actors Suki and Sokka from the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender. So, how about you tell us about that experience, some of that conversation you had with them, and overall experience of Steel City Comic Con?
Sure, yeah. So this was my first con going by myself. This was my third or fourth Steel City Con experience. I usually go with my brother or my brother and sister-in-law. This was my first one going alone. Huge crowd.
How
Lots
many
of people.
people do you think? How many people do you think?
So there was actually an article I saw from one of the Pittsburgh television stations. They said 18,000 people.
That's about the amount of people that show up to a Kenny Pickett led Steeler football game.
Nice try. I'm not going to entertain that idea. But I will say that it was packed because the convention center. I mean, it's a good place to host events, and like comic cons, I guess. But it can be congested, like because like, you have vendors, you have tons of vendors there. You got the celebrities and their tables, and then you just got a whole bunch of people that are visiting. So it's gonna be pretty packed, especially like vendors getting food, alcohol, all this stuff. So it can get pretty packed, and so like I just walked around the facility like I always do, trying to see like what vendors are here, what kind of art do they have, what are they selling. Then I went to see the celebrity tables and which celebrities were where. And I got the 3-day pass for because it's the cheapest option and it's the best deal you can get. You go in all 3 days for $55 total. Like that's it. That's all you pay is $55 for 3 days. And you go in half an hour earlier than the regular ticketed people. So you're allowed to like get a 30 minutes of freedom, walk around, what have you. And so like I walked around, I got to see where Ian Owsley and Maria Zhang were. They are live action Sokka and Suki. They were next to each other. And I was just seeing who else was around. Like there was John Rhys Davis, who is Gimli and Sala from Lord of the Rings and Indiana Jones. One of the bigger events that the con was hosting was the Breakfast Club panel. So you got Molly Ringwald, Judd Nelson, Anthony Michael Hall, Ali Sheedy. And so their panel was on Sunday. And then you had a 90210 reunion panel that they were all over the place. I don't really watch 90210. I never got into it. Wasn't my thing. So like, but there was a huge buzz about it. And got to see John Carpenter, who's the director of Halloween, The Fog, and Escape from or Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, and The Thing. So I attended some panels on Friday. John Carpenter had a panel. John Rhys Davis had a panel, and Ian Owsley and Maria Zhang had a panel. And they were the second one I saw that day. And they were very nice young actors. They just telling about their experiences, and like Ian was talking about how he thought he got the role of Sokka because of his background in martial arts, and at least that's what helped him gain it. And Maria growing up, being born in Poland and growing up in China, and then like venturing forth in the States for her acting, and just explaining how how they grew up. Like Ian grew up in College Station, like where Texas A&M is in Texas. And then Maria like saying that she's been all over the world really because of her parents. And they're saying like how they got introduced to Avatar. Ian was talking about how he liked the show growing up, and then he followed back into it when around COVID time, like 2020, when Netflix brought it back, and then he realized how great of a show it was. He forgot how great it was. Maria didn't really watch the show until like she got the part of Suki, and she loves it. Like it was like, finding buried treasure for her is what she kind of said.
She was like halfway through season 2, and she was like, "Am I this?" She was like, "Where am I appearing in this? Like, am I only in one episode?"
And like they're talking about like on set things. Like Ian was a big prankster on set, like making fun of people here and there, and then like like doing lots of jokes, lots of kidding, silly pranks on set. Where Maria was explaining how like she had to like wait and do the Kyoshi Warrior makeup, sit in a chair for like 3 hours every day while she was on set, and just the amount of patience you have to have while doing that. She was like, I mastered my facial muscles and gaining that, like sitting in a chair, sitting still, kind of.
She could have watched Avatar Korra the whole time.
And Ian was talking about how when Daniel Day Kim, who plays Fire Lord Ozai in the live action, when Daniel Day Kim was getting the gang together about some type of story at the time, but it was telling them about the renewal of season 2 and 3 for the show, and Ian didn't buy Daniel Day Kim pranking the set or the crew when he was like, "Oh, we are not renewing we're not renewing the show for season 1,
season 2, yeah,
season 2. We're renewing for season 2 and 3."
Right.
Ian was like, "Yeah, I didn't really buy
the initial."
Yeah, he was like, "I'm a master prankster. I didn't really buy it." And it was just kind of interesting to hear that perspective on them while being in the audience and listening to what they had to say. I was kind of front row. I was like 4 rows back. Like I was very close. And so that was like day 1 really. And it was a bad day. It was pouring rain. I know like everything I talked about was like rain, but like it is what it is. It's been going on this entire month really. Though this week has been really nice weather. And then day 2 happens, and I meet this gentleman named Rick at day 2 of Steel City Con. He had an Avatar shirt on, and I was like, you know what? We're like one of the only 2 people here that are probably fans, so I'm going to introduce myself. And we have a good conversation with him, talking about life, what he does for work, what I do for work, like what's his family life like, where he comes from, how he got here, all this stuff. And it was just one of those things where like you're glad that you put yourself out there and you make a new friend. And I forced him to subscribe to the podcast. And so he was my one new member that I got while going to the con. And if Rick, you are listening to this, hi. Thank you for subscribing, and it was a pleasure to meet you. And yeah, we were hanging out like at least half the day, just talking and with him and his friend that he came with, and he drove 7 hours to his friend's place, and his friend's place is 2 hours from Pittsburgh. So there was a total of like 9 to 10 hours that they dedicated to the con. Well, for Rick it was 10 hours. For his friend it was 2. But for Rick it was dedication to come to the con, and it was only a 1-day thing. And he got me a pic of Ian and him at the con. Like, he was like gracious enough to, he's like, hey, like, I'm gonna be in line, do you want to come with me? I was like, sure. And so like we both got a pic together, and it was pretty cool. And we just talked, and I let him know that he does soccer a pretty good job. He does soccer pretty good justice. And talked to Maria about like this was Maria's first con at Pittsburgh, and this was Ian's second. So we're just talking. Go ahead. I
would have went them and like I follow you guys on Instagram. Is there any reason you guys don't follow the Cabbage crew back?
That's what I should have.
Is there any reason?
Yeah, I should have. I wasn't thinking.
No, don't do that.
Here's the thing. When we were in line, when we were talking to him, that's when like more of a line started. So we had to talk pretty fast, like have like a short like conversation about, like I said, like telling him like he's doing a good job, telling her that she's doing a good job.
Right.
Because every time, not every time, but when we were up front, it just seemed like there were more people coming in wanting autographs and pictures and signings and all that jazz. But it was super cool to make that connection. And Ian's very interested in doing more cons. He signed up for more later on this year. I believe he's going to be in Raleigh and Philly. And Maria liked the Steel City Con too. So we hope to see them more. Cool. And I was hoping to tell them like, hey, you two are here. Next time, bring your friends that are on the live action. So I was trying to be okay.
The only one to bring the good ones. All right, well, cool. That's a good experience that you had. And again, we're going to be going to the Anime Con in June 15th. That's going to be in Rhode Island. So we'll be putting more pictures, the pictures that he mentioned, and a couple other pictures that he took there at Steel City Comicon or on Instagram, which is mycabbages4 on Instagram. It's the same as our handle on YouTube, mycabbages4. Subscribe to our YouTube. Subscribe.
Please.
Follow us on Instagram.
Here
we go. We're not really doing too much on Instagram right now, but we'll get there. All right. Well, today's topic, we'll just jump right into then, is top locations that you would like to go on vacation in the Avatar world.
Yes.
Me and John had a very different list than each other for our vacations. So really quick, again, how the Cabbage Crew calculus is made. It's a top 10 of a collective top 10 between me and John. We essentially take our top 15 and we give a score 1 through 15. And it's kind of like golf. You add up our scores to make a total score between me and John. And we take the top 10 of the total scores and put them together. One of ours did not make a top 20. So let's say John says the Swamp, and I don't think the Swamp is a top 15 location. Then we automatically give that 20 points. So quick example. Let's say John says Northern Water Tribe is a 6, and I say it's a 10. That would be 16 combined. So that's how that would kind of work. So a couple of honorable. Like I can't talk right now. You talk.
Couple of honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. There's a couple of them. I'll just run down a couple of mine. Bali, I believe, is one. Which I don't know if that's actually how it's pronounced. I don't think they ever mentioned it. But it is the location that Korra was at when she lost her memory. When you see the part 1, part 2 of the beginnings episode, it looks like a nice, relaxing island.
Bonti Island?
Is it Bati?
I think it's Bati
Yeah, I think
Island.
it's Bati. What did I say?
You said Bali.
Bali.
like
Yeah.
Bollywood.
I don't even think they ever mentioned. I think it just saw it on the website. But yeah, basically it's an island with a bunch of flying bison. And it seems secluded, seems relaxing. So I said that. Another one that did not make our list, that I had pretty high, that you seem to have not really on your list, was, again, not really named, but it was the secluded area that Aang, quote unquote, exposes itself. Looks like a large lake in a crater that has some type of waterfall that goes into the main either river or ocean below. I think that could be a really cool spot to go for maybe a day trip, a whole weekend or a whole week, but a day trip, that would be really cool. And then one noticeable one that did not make the list was that I feel like neither of us really, really loved, but was the Great Divide. Great Divide did not make the list. The sightseeing spot, I don't think it's a vacation location. So, what about you, John? Couple that you had that did not make the list before we jump in?
Some honorable mentions. I love my swamp.
Yeah, I don't know why. Let's go to this disgusting place that gives us
Elbow leeches.
And elbow leeches. And it's just like every place that you seem to want to go on vacation, they can't get out of sooner.
Yep.
Like there's a couple of them that you really want to go vacation to, and it's like they mentioned specifically in that episode how they wanted to get the heck out of there.
Yeah, I mean,
swamp being one of them, like multiple times. They're like, "Why are we in the swamp?"
Well, here's the thing. I like the Amazon rainforest. Yeah, is it dangerous? Yes. Is it dangerous if you ever died? No. Is it still dangerous? A little bit. Yes. But it's just about it's a mysterious place. And about exploring that mysterious place. And it's about seeing what's there. What is there civilization? What's the plant life like? It's the yes, I'm interested in plants because I'm a nerd, okay? But no, I mean it's just mysterious, and I would like to learn more about it.
Yeah, another one that we have on here, that you know, just again, some of these places that you really want to go to, like Chin Village. It's just, you had that at number 8.
I'm not gonna confirm nor deny that I had it 8.
Like I don't know what you would do in Chin Village.
Well, I'm not gonna confirm nor deny I had that at 8. So
yeah, at 8. And then before we jump in, another really noticeable one is Kyoshi Island did not make the list, just out of the list actually. So let's jump to number 10. Our combined scores, again, it's kind of like golf, so the lower the better. Our combined scores was 25. You said it was your 15th location, so barely made it to your top 15. I put it at number 10. So the normal water tribe, you liked it a little less than I do. By the way, before jumping in, how is can you hear me? My audio good?
Yes.
Okay. Move back my mic, so I wanted to make sure. Yeah, so I mean, you like it a little less than I do. Is there a specific reason why you barely put it on your top 15?
Yeah, look, I would love to have Northern Water Tribe honestly in my top 10. In all honesty, I would. I love how it looks, the architecture, the ice, the just like looking at it, it's just beautiful. The only problem is I despise the cold. I'm very sensitive to it. And so that's the main reason why, like, it's on the list barely because I'm giving it its due. That's the reason.
Okay. Yeah, I have it high because, and we've talked about this before, but like the Northern Water Tribe, the idea of it is really cool. And there's going to be a couple of them on this list that kind of have the same concept, but the idea of it is cool. Like to say, like, oh yeah, I went to an entire fortress made of ice.
Yeah.
But like after being there for like a day, you're like, okay, everything's made of ice. The homes are made of ice. The ground's made of ice. I'm really cold. What is there really to do besides like, I mean, nothing. I mean, you can't swim because you're in the Arctic Ocean. You're, you can't really like, there's nothing really to do. So it's like the idea of being there was really cool. Maybe for like a day trip, but for like an entire vacation, it's one of those places where you're like, I went there, it was really fun, but then like internally, you didn't have that much fun.
Right.
So yeah, number 9. Number 9, me and you, it's probably the largest disagreement. It specifically made on the list. It didn't even make my top 15, but it was so high on your list. I think number 3 or it was number 4 on your list.
Yeah.
So even it didn't make my top 15, so it just automatically got a 20. But because it was so high on your list, it was able to barely get into the top 10. Do you want to go ahead and tell the audience what your number 9 location? There are only 8 spots you'd rather go in the entire world than this one location.
I would like to know what the audience thinks after I say what it is, because I want to know if they would agree with me about like, oh, that's definitely a place I want to visit. The city of walls and secrets itself, Bossing say.
Give me a reason. What's your reason why, if you could go on vacation only 8 times in your life and you lived in this world, or 9 times in your life, one of those locations, Kyoshi Island, nope, not for me. I want to go to Boston. So what is the reason that you put Bossing's thing on your top? It wasn't even your top 9. It was your number 4.
Because I feel like there's lots to do. There's a zoo made by the Avatar, and ain't that pretty cool?
That's cool. I'll give you that.
Seeing the royal palace, like that's ancient history. All the rich,
If you're allowed to, yeah.
Architecture, the housing. Obviously, you can compare and contrast between the poverty, but but like you can see like the outer wall, the inner wall.
Okay.
Like, their transportation system is pretty cool. Like they're earthbending a metro. Your metro trains are earthbending.
Yeah, Omashu was another one that didn't make the list, which the slides were really cool. I feel like the reason why we talked about why Omashu didn't make the list and why I was kind of high for both. I put it at 15, you didn't put it on the list. Was it's like, okay, they have the slide, but after like 1 or 2 rounds of the slide, it's just the city. I feel like that's kind of like Omashu though, right? Like, okay, cool, as a zoo, like most cities in the real world have a zoo. And then it's like they have a cool transportation system, like they have a train. But besides, I don't know, man, I look at it as like a classist society that's broken up into different, obviously, walls. I guess it could depend on what wall you're like. Are you going to be at the royal palace? Or are you going to be at the upper class where you might get really good treatment?
Right.
When it comes to like a vacation lifestyle. So we can argue about that one.
But, I'm not some refugee that is needing a place to live. I'm vacationing, so I have.
They have a library. They have a nice library there, apparently, or a nice
library and university. University of Boston.
Yeah, I was saying a nice university. Okay.
There's just like I wouldn't want to spend maybe more than 4 days.
Okay.
It's just like I like exploring big cities and just getting the gist of them, and then going on my merry way.
Okay, fair enough. Number 8. Combined score of you barely put this in your top 15, 14, and I put it at 9. So mine was barely a top 10. That was going to be Wolf Cove.
Yep.
Very similar to Northern Water Tribe, but I feel like it was a little bit higher on my list because it's not made out of only water or only ice. There is actually like built wooden homes and huts. A little bit warmer, probably of an experience. It looks like they do have festivals there, and it looks like there is a better culture there. When it comes to, the northern culture, I wouldn't say that really matters too much because you're a visitor, but it seems like they're a little bit more open to people coming in and partying and having fun. And that's pretty much the reason I put it up a little higher. What about you?
Yeah, it's the same thing as the Northern Water Tribe. It's just that it's cold.
Yeah, you barely put it up.
The reason why
yours was 15, 14. So yeah.
The reason why it's a little higher is just because it's the redevelopment of the Southern Water Tribe. So I just like to see what's different. Is there like, a memorial to like the first or the huts from the 100-Year War? Like I just like to see how it has expanded, and that's the main reason why.
Okay, cool. All right, so number 7, getting away from the cold. Where number 7 is some of these names I might be getting not doing great with. Shaojing, I believe it is.
Shujing.
Shujing.
Yeah.
That is the city of Master Piandao, the sword master, Sokka sword master. I really like this place because it's a nice island. They even talk about the environment being as nice as it is. Waterfalls. It seems like a very peaceful location. Even part of the episode, they go into town. It looks like there's nice places to eat, places to go shopping for at least weapons. So it just seems like a kind of a vacation-y, pick your island to go on vacation on. It very much seems like that. I'm sure there's a beach. So that's why I had mine all the way up. I had it at 5, and you had it at 11. So I had it pretty high. Now, when we went into our top 15, we said that we can always change around things. So if one of us makes a good point, you're like, you know what, I'm going to update something. This was not on your list. I don't know if it's because you just forgot about it or whatever it might have been, but you did ended up, this is the only one that was changed where you said, you know what, make a good point. Why did you necessarily make that change?
Because I just forgot about it. I mean, it was just one of those. It was one of those things to where I thought that, after hearing about everything that this has that you just laid out, it's like the best of Hawaiian Island, like really, like it's like where there's trees, there's beach, there's markets, there's it reminded me a lot of like one of the Hawaiian Islands.
Yeah, that's the best way of putting it. Yeah.
And so after rethinking that, yeah, that's what I'll probably say. And honestly, you know what? I'm willing to make a change now. I'm willing to make a change.
Well, it's kind of too late, but go ahead. What's your change?
I'm switching Shujing to number 9 instead of 11 for me.
That wouldn't really matter on the list.
Well, I'm just
because
saying, I'm changing on mine.
Well, go ahead. Our number 6 is Republic City. And why it wouldn't matter is because you put Republic City at 6, and that would, still be way higher. Republic City combined was 14. I don't know if I said this, but Shujing, whatever it was, 16. Republic City actually tied with I don't know the name of it, but Jets Forest. Two very different. Yeah, two very different locations. But how we settle tiebreakers is whoever each location is going to have 2 votes. One is mine, one is John's. So if there's 2 that are tied, you have 4 votes. Whatever one has the highest, or I should say the lowest scores, whoever likes whatever location the most wins the tiebreaker. Which was Republic City, or which was Jets Forest. Republic City, John, you voted at Republic City at 6. I voted at 8. Or Jets Forest, you said 10. I said 4. So Republic City, we'll talk about that one first. I mean, what I really like it as a vacation spot is it is very much a modern city, like a New York City. And I think the average Avatar: Last Airbender person, even in the world of Korra, is not used to things like cars, is not used to things like large metal buildings. So going there for a week, you would be exploring, you would be blown away your first couple nights. Like Korra was very much blown away her first day there. She was just completely intrigued, and it was like a completely new culture. Much like the opposite, if it's me and you went to some Amazon rainforest tribe, we'd be like, this is crazy. Yeah, the swamp. I guess that's but yeah, and then there's some programming there as well, so you get a little bit of entertainment as well. Um, so I think that was a pretty high on my list. I think that is when you're talking about cities, that is the city to go to. So what say you, John?
Yeah, you laid it out really well. I just add that it also has Air Temple Island that you can go to.
Mm,
And like I said, like the technology, the innovation, the commerce, the economy of Republic City really is so diverse, and they made it that way for a reason.
mhm.
It's like the conglomerate of benders and non-benders to live in peace and harmony.
It's also the only place where I think all benders live together. So that culture is just so unique, and I wouldn't say rich, but it's so unique.
Well, no, it is rich in culture.
Yeah, yeah,
It's rich in culture.
yeah. Okay.
It's the melting pot of the
Hmm.
Avatar world.
Yeah,
And you like what's not to love about that? It's seeing everyone be together. It's seeing everyone like even though there's differences, there are there there are other reasons to, live our lives and like come together and try to make this world, this city, a better place.
yeah. One other thing that I guess we didn't even think about, I'm just realizing it now. If it's post season 2, which I did not like this in the show, but when it comes to a vacation spot, the spirit vines throughout the city is a nice, unique thing to see. Hate how they did it in the show, but it is something that would be there. Now, Jets Forced. Um, I mean, for me, I mean, we talked about it before. It's like, what's better than going to a forest or a small, like almost a playground in the trees. You have zip lines. You have different ways of traveling up and down the trees. A big clubhouse for a couple of days. Like that's great.
Easily. I mean, that's every child's like dream. They want to live in a treehouse. They want to build a tree. They want to have their dad, their mom, their both parents work on a tree house, have it built so that they can live in their own fantasy land, live in their own world, and like have that be where they live. It's about solitude, is what it is, and being up high and like not really caring what's down below unless you need to go down there to get supplies, get resources. But
Blossom
they
jelly.
blasting jelly to blow up dams and get the fresh water, geysers, and like there's a whole bunch of reasons why Daipon Jets Forests deserves like a credit of like living, zip lining down and up. I mean, it's just a thrilling experience. I'd love to vacation there for like at least 5 days.
That's also. I mean, if it flooded, there has to be a river or a lake nearby as well. So,
right.
I could see definitely going there. Almost being like a cabin in the woods, but you're not in the cabin; you're in the trees. So it's like you can go fishing, you can go swimming in the lake, you can zip line, you can do things outside, and then at night you're having those fires that they were, having a big bonfire. It looked like during the Jet episode. So I feel like that would be a very fun outdoorsy fall experience.
The only downside, I mean, I don't disagree with that. The only downside to it would be if it was thunder and lightning out and your tree gets taken down. I mean, it's
Yeah.
something to think about because
You gotta make sure you pick the right days to go. Or bring a lightning bender with you to redirect it.
That's right.
So number 4, and again, it's been a long time since I've seen Korra, so you've seen it just in the last couple weeks. Shout out to our Korra reviews. We're gonna be doing episode 3 this Saturday. But that being said, Shaofu, is it?
Zhao
Zhao Fu got 12 points combined. You put it at. Ooh, where do we even have it at?
I have it at 5.
You have it at 5. I had it at 7. Yeah, I had it at 7. You had it at 5. So again, 2 pretty strong top 7s that we have in there. Neither of us really dislike going here, so I think that's why it did so well.
Right.
I mean, you can start this one. You have I mean, I know you're a big city guy. You want to go to cities. So anything in particular you like about this specific city?
It's a city completely dedicated to metal bending. It's artsy. It's they seem to be very educated, very built upright in the sense of educated, while also caring and supporting their region and territory. They're just super unique people in their type of the government structure and the council that they have, and just having advisors surround you if you're like the leader of Xiaofu.
But as a vacation spot, we're not talking about being like a citizen or a high class member.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's just like the studying it is interesting because they're a little bit different from the rest of the other territories and regions. Like it's different than the Republic City. Like Sue is not the president of.
Yeah, she's more of like a respected leader, if anything. You know what I mean? Like a respected leader. It's less of like I run this place and more of just everyone looks up to me, so I just kind of took charge. Right. You said something a good point about the artsy stuff too. It's like they seem to have dances there. It would be safe to assume that they have a great music culture, a great art culture. We saw one of Sue's sons being very artsy when it came to his metal bending and crafting different objects and painting. So I don't know if that was just him or if that was more of the style of the location. And then we saw dancing as well. Like they were doing some type of dancing routine when we met some of them. So yeah, I think all that makes it for a good spot to sightsee, see some of the new locations that you've never been to. In the dome itself is a pretty cool concept. So at night the dome comes up. Yeah. So a really good environment to go to.
Quick question about it. Would you say, comparing, contrasting, and I'm just throwing this out there, but would you say like Wakanda and Xiaofu is pretty similar in a sense?
In the sense of like it being secluded from the rest of the world, and like it has some type of dome where people can't get in and out. And then I guess they utilize metal. Pretty, yeah. I mean, there's some comparisons. They utilize metal.
It's exact, but it's similar.
Yeah. No, definitely. It definitely has some similarities. So that they saw Black Panther I think came out after Core did, so never mind. So number 3 and our 3, 2, and 1 were all pretty close. So number 3 with the score of 5 points, I put it at 2. Johnny put it at 3. Was the Air Temples. We kind of just decided, you know what? Instead of having 4 different air temples that would take most likely at least 3 of the spots, we just combined them all into one, as if you're going on a mini road trip on a flying bison and you do one a day or something along the lines of that. I mean, so you're going to all 4. Is there one specific that you feel would be the reason maybe why this is number 3 on your list?
Yeah, I'd say the Western Air Temple. It's so unique, and how they're built. Again, I know I go back to architecture a lot, but it's just about how these buildings are structured. It's upside down under a cliff. Like what's not surprising about that? Like, it's just the concept, like where like gravity is like the opposite. It's just super.
Yeah, and each temple would have different places, different rooms to explore. They all seem relatively big as well, so a lot of exploring, a lot of culture, a lot of architect. and each one of them is kind of different from each other. It seemed like the southern had a sporting arena and had multiple like bridges connecting each one of the temples. We don't see a lot of the eastern temple, but we do see that there's like a large waterfall, and there's definitely a lot of different large statues of different airbenders that you could see and monuments you could see. The western, like you said, on the side of a cliff, super unique. They talk about their tunnels, and then the northern is I guess you could say in this world has a little bit of a unique sense of that they did some additional work to them. I guess you could say they added some technology.
Right.
So that would be kind of a cool thing to check out and see how the updates made this temple different from the others, better or worse, however you want to look at it. So, all right. Well, number 2 is 4 points. You put it at your number 1, and I put it at my number 3. It's going to be the Sun Warrior Island. Going back to the architecture part, this one, very Aztecian, I guess you could say. There we go. Very Aztecian to it. A lot of great culture. You can walk around, kind of look at different. I mean, I would say it's hasn't been touched, but I guess it is being touched. But just a lot of great locations to look at. Assuming that the dragons are gentle creatures and not going to kill you. There are dragons there to see. And so, yeah, I mean, it's very much for that reason. I put it at number, as high as I put it, 3. Why did you put it at number 1 for you?
Because architecture. It's ancient history. I mean, you don't get that much anywhere else in the Avatar world besides the air temples, really. Air temples and the fire sage and the Dragonbone catacombs. Like this is like this is where history, like you're walking on history. You are standing in gold structures, gold plated structures, and like you're just in awe of like some pyramid structures, some like Indiana Jones, like grabbing the golden egg and then
potentially dying,
potentially dying, and traps and all that, and just learning the real source of their culture and the 2 dragons that are still there. And it's just a hidden treasure is what it is.
Yeah, I think the combination of, again, like a lot of touristy stuff, touristy stuff. It's like you can see the first fire ever that's still going today.
Yeah,
touristy. You can see touristy. Yes,
touristy.
You could see gems like the golden egg. You can potentially see, maybe even touch. Who knows? Maybe even ride. Probably not ride. Dragons. Which is insane. You can obviously see all the pyramids, like you said, and all the different cultures. So definitely would be a top 1. So at number 1, which was my number 1, your number 2, is, again, spoiler here, which I just feel like is the basic. It's kind of basic, but it's just reality. Ember Island. You get to go. It looks like it's very high class, very much like you have people waiting you all day, relaxing on the beach. You can play some sports on the beach. You can go to night parties. There's some great plays. What's there not to like?
Well, according to Zuko, they're not great plays, but
true. Okay, they're like 6 out of 10s. That's true.
This isn't Broadway, Matt. This is not New York City. This is like,
but there's nothing wrong with just going to an okay play and having a fun time on a vacation and just being like, what, that was fun. I relaxed and I had some fun. So
the effects were decent.
Yeah, it's better than the live action show. I'm happy with it. All right. Well, that is our top 10 places in the Avatar world that we would like to go on vacation. So comment below what your favorite spot would be when it comes to a vacation spot in the Avatar world. If it's Bossing Say, God bless you. And
Come on,
again,
Boss Say.
Bossing Say, again, subscribe. We're like almost 50 subscribers. Goal is to hit 150 by the time we go to Comic-Con. So John laughed at it when I said it. So I'm going to try to prove him wrong.
Tell your friends, tell your coworkers, spread the love, subscribe. Thank you, Cabbage Crew. You're loyal and we love you.
Bye.
Oh my God.
Don't take off the sunglasses.
Why?
Ah.